Señores, ¿qué pasa cuando el presidente de Estados Unidos llama al dictador ruso y luego admite públicamente que no tuvo ningún progreso? ¿Será que estamos hablando de honestidad o solo es el reconocimiento de su propia impotencia? Donald Trump hablando por teléfono con Vladimir Putin sobre el tema de la guerra con Ucrania. Y luego sale y admite públicamente que no logra nada. Nada. Ni avances, ni acuerdos, ni siquiera una promesa vacía. Lo más preocupante, amigos, no es eso, ¿no? Lo realmente grave es cómo sus acciones y sus omisiones están afectando la capacidad de un país para poder defenderse. Mientras el otro país, que prácticamente son dictadores, avanzan con total impunidad. Donald Trump sostuvo una llamada de casi como una hora con Putin, donde al parecer tocaron varios temas, ¿no? Incluyendo el tema de Irán y por supuesto el tema central que es su guerra con Ucrania. Al finalizar, pues señores, Donald Trump tuvo, digamos que una conferencia de prensa express y le dijo a los periodistas que no había hecho ningún progreso con Putin, que no estaba feliz para nada. Esto no es nada nuevo. Desde que volvió al escenario político, señores, ha intentado posicionar esta imagen, ¿no? Este negociador nato, alguien que pueda hacer tratos incluso con dictadores. Pero aquí, señores, frente a una guerra brutal, se ve claramente que este discurso ya no tiene fundamentos reales. Veamos por un momento de qué se trata esta noticia.
Today, Donald Trump spoke by phone with Russian dictator Vladimir Putin for roughly an hour.
We had a call. It was a pretty long call. We talked about a lot of things, including Iran. And we also talked about, as you know, the war with Ukraine. And I'm not happy about that. I'm not happy.
Did you make any progress with him on a deal with Ukraine? Do you feel like you made any progress with him?
No, I didn't make any progress with him today at all.
Unusually self-aware comment from Donald Trump after the call. Putin's foreign policy advisor, Yuri Ushakov, released this statement. There was a detailed discussion of the situation surrounding Iran and the state of affairs in the Middle East in general. The Russian side emphasized it was crucial to settle any and all contentious issues, differences, and conflicts exclusively via political and diplomatic means. The conversation between the two presidents has, as always, shown that they are on the same page. The two presidents will naturally continue communicating and will have another conversation soon, end quote. Trump and Putin are on the same page, says Putin's advisor. Axios reports Ushakov also told reporters Trump stressed during the call that he wants to end the war between Russia and Ukraine swiftly. Putin told Trump that Russia is not going to give up on its goals in Ukraine. Ushakov said, adding that Russia sees its peace talks with Ukraine as a bilateral issue that the U.S. shouldn't be actively involved in. So Trump wants to end the war swiftly. Putin says it's not going to give up on its goals and that the U.S. shouldn't be actively involved. This call happened just 2 days after the Defense Secretary, Pete Hegseth, blocked the delivery of Patriot missiles to Ukraine, missiles already approved and paid for under the Biden administration. Now, these air defense systems are vital to Ukraine's ability to defend itself. Ukraine's deputy foreign minister says the delay, quote, would only encourage the aggressor to continue the war and terror rather than to seek peace, end quote. The aggressor, in case this has become confusing in the Trump administration, is Russia. Putin is already acting on that advantage. The Kremlin has intensified airstrikes on Ukraine, and the Wall Street Journal reports that Russia has massed 50,000 troops near the Ukrainian border city of Sumy, where they outnumber the Ukrainians roughly 3-1, according to soldiers who are fighting there. The New York Times reports that Trump has issued no new sanctions against Russia related to the full-scale invasion of Ukraine. In some cases, the administration has eased restrictions. The results has created an opening for new dummy companies to funnel funds and critical components to Russia, including computer chips and military equipment that would otherwise be cut off to the Kremlin. Donald Trump is letting Russia rebuild. He's withholding critical aid to Ukraine. He's easing sanctions. He's holding pointless calls with Putin in which Trump has not been able to persuade Putin of anything. It all adds up to a glaring green light from Donald Trump to Russia's dictator, basically saying the United States is not going to stand in your way. Trump has undermined our allies and betrayed the principles that once defined American leadership in the world. Joining me now is Michael McFaul, who served as the U.S. ambassador to Russia from 2012 to 2014. He's an MSNBC international affairs analyst. Ambassador, good to see you again. I was actually kind of impressed that Donald Trump said to the reporters he got nothing done in this call, because the rest of us have been watching this show unfold for a while, realizing that Donald Trump is getting nothing done with Vladimir Putin except giving him permission to continue his aggression in Ukraine.
Well, I agree. If you're looking for some good news amongst a lot of bad news with respect to this horrific invasion and attacking of civilians today, and it just escalated since we've been in the last couple hours here, that's it. But then what does he do with that?
Yeah.
Okay, he now has diagnosed the problem. Putin's not listening to him. Putin's not even, this amazing thing that Mr. Ushakov said, somebody I used to deal with closely, that we don't want you to be involved in any negotiations now. Well, that is just saying you are weak, President Trump. We don't care what you want to do. So now what is the president going to do about it? Because we look weak. This incredibly poor decision by the Department of Defense to not deliver these Patriot systems, like you said, already paid for, approved by the U.S. Congress, that is a signal of weakness. And what I don't understand about a guy that seems so obsessed with looking tough, with looking strong, is why does President Trump allow Putin to make him look so weak?
You know, in my tours in Ukraine, we would see interceptions of Russian missiles coming in, and the intercepting anti-missile, the interceptions. It's one of the few reasons why Russia doesn't have air control over Ukraine. And it's really important, because if that were to not be the case, it would be very hard for the Ukrainians to continue to mount a legitimate defense.
You're exactly right. And this is the one weapon system, the Patriots, that's what we're talking about, and the interceptors that are depleted now. It's the one system that they need us, the United States, to have. They've done a lot of creative things, as you know, with drones, making all kinds of weapons productions, buying weapons now, getting weapons from the Europeans. The Europeans now provide, in the aggregate, more military assistance to Ukraine than we do. But when we're talking about missile defenses, and particularly the Patriot system, that's what they need us for. And that's what, tragically, the Trump administration, with no explanation, by the way, talking to the Congress about it, decided to pause 2 days ago.
I want to bring up something. Reuters was reporting about Vladimir Putin's discussion with Emmanuel Macron, the first time those two have talked in nearly 3 years. But it's important. On Ukraine, Putin reiterated his position to Macron that the war was a direct consequence of the West's policy, which he said had ignored Russia's security interests over the past few years. Any possible peace agreement between Russia and Ukraine should have a comprehensive and long-term character and be based on new territorial realities, the Kremlin quoted Putin as saying. This was the argument used at the beginning of the war, that this war is your fault, that you, NATO, even though Ukraine's not a member of NATO, you pushed up against our borders, you pushed us back, you hemmed us in. Vladimir Putin is stuck on that, is never going to be unstuck on that.
Tragically, that's right. And let's just be crystal clear. There was no threat to Russia when Putin decided to invade Ukraine. No threat, absolutely. No NATO country has ever attacked the Soviet Union or Russia. And as you just underscored, Ukraine was not a member of NATO when they were invaded. But that phrase, new territorial realities, that means that he wants to take parts of Ukraine. That is an imperial design that he somehow wants the West to recognize. And I know that President Macron will never do that. I hope President Trump also will never do that.
Ambassador, good to see you as always. Thank you for being with us, the former United States Ambassador to...
Amigos, esto es oro puro. Por primera vez creo que Trump ha reconocido públicamente, ¿no?, que al parecer no tiene influencia sobre Putin. Y no solo eso, porque sino encima admite que no está para nada contento en cómo va esta situación con Ucrania. Aquí viene lo peor, porque a pesar de eso, su gobierno está tomando decisiones que indirectamente o hasta directamente favorecen a Moscú. Por ejemplo, hace apenas unos días, el Departamento de Defensa decidió pausar el envío de misiles Patriot a Ucrania. Sistemas que ya estaban aprobados, ya estaban pagados. por el gobierno anterior. Esos misiles, sin duda, son clave en una operación, en querer defender ciudades ucranianas, ¿no? Y ahora, ¿qué está haciendo Rusia mientras Trump habla por teléfono y se llena de excusas? Seguramente están ahí intensificando los ataques aéreos, concentrando tropas cerca de la frontera, aprovechando cada señal de debilidad de Estados Unidos. Y encima, ¿no? Según su propio asesor, Putin le dijo a Trump que no quiere que Estados Unidos participe en las negociaciones de paz. O sea, amigos, Donald Trump está tratando de mediar en un conflicto donde el otro lado le dice que ni siquiera quiere que esté en la mesa. ¿Y qué hace Trump? Nada, absolutamente nada. Lo peor de todo esto es que Trump aún quiere seguir vendiéndose como el único hombre capaz de parar a Putin, cuando en realidad está demostrando que es un interlocutor completamente irrelevante en Moscú. E incluso, ¿no? Cuando quiere hacer algo, como acabar con esta guerra, ni siquiera tiene los instrumentos, peor aún, la voluntad política para hacerlo. De hecho, sus acciones más bien terminan facilitando a Rusia, y eso es lo que hemos visto. Además, cabe recalcar, ¿no?, que bajo esta administración no se han impuesto sanciones serias contra Rusia, amigos, e incluso algunas que ya habían fueron relajadas. O sea, ya aquí vemos cómo se abrió una brecha enorme por donde empresas fantasmas han estado enviando componentes tecnológicos claves a Rusia. Hablamos de chips, equipos militares, tecnología de punta, cosas que Rusia necesita para poder mantener esta maquinaria de guerra funcionando. Sé que algunos podrían argumentarme que Trump está tratando de evitar una escalada mayor, pero entre Rusia y Estados Unidos. Pero amigos, la realidad es que Putin no necesita de excusas para continuar con su conflicto. Él ya tiene la luz verde de Trump, el cual no solo no actúa, sino que encima reduce la ayuda militar a Ucrania y se queda hablando por teléfono sin resultados. Señores, lo que vimos hoy es la cara menos conocida de Trump, la de un presidente que quiere posar como diplomático, pero que en la práctica no tiene el poder real sobre uno de los líderes más peligrosos del mundo. Yo sé que sus declaraciones pueden sonar autocríticas, pero amigos, sus políticas son cómplices. Y mientras él siga jugando a ser este mediador, Ucrania va a seguir perdiendo terreno, civiles y defensas. Pero bueno, ¿qué opinan ustedes? ¿Creen que Trump realmente terminará ayudando a terminar esta guerra? ¿O simplemente seguirá utilizando este conflicto para construir una narrativa electoral? Los invito a que me dejen sus opiniones en la caja de comentarios. Muchísimas gracias por acompañarme hasta el final de este video. Recuerda, como siempre, dale like, compártelo con tus amigos y suscríbete a nuestro canal Políticamente en Desacuerdo. Nos vemos en el próximo video. Hasta luego.